All right, everyone. Before we even get into today's story, I want you to watch this short clip from GB News. Because trust me, you need to hear what they said before the rest of this commentary makes full sense.
This is Meghan Markle's father sending a plea that he wants to speak to his daughter. He's obviously in hospital, very unwell. We're told he's had to have part of his leg amputated. And I mean, you see this and you just think it's so sad to see this playing out across the front pages. This is, for me, this is the definition of none of our business. This is a private family matter. I mean, he's the one that's gone to the press. And I've got to say, if I were in Meghan's shoes and my dad had gone to the press rather than speak to me, I'd be furious and probably not speak to him. And I think there are a lot of people that don't like Meghan. I think that this is almost pointed at trying to say, oh, her father's in hospital and she's not even visiting him. And it's like, we don't know what's gone on. We don't know what's gone on between these two people. It's none of our business. A lot of people don't speak to their families. That doesn't make them bad people. It's a private matter.
Emma.
Yeah, look, we know that Thomas Markle is not publicity averse, but I think that it's this felt so intrusive to me, and I think it's very telling that even the Mail on Sunday have to put under that photo on the front page, Thomas Markle asked us to publish this photo. They put that on the front page because he's lying in his hospital bed. He looks not well at all. He's got a sort of stump, which is actually his arm. But anyway, we know he's just had part of his lower leg amputated. This is appalling timing for Meghan. She's literally just launched her new Netflix show, With Love, Meghan, a festive special, which focuses on being with family, love, surrounding yourself with family. This is very bad timing for her. They've had this terrible fallout. And as you say, Lewis, family feuds, family estrangements are very private and very painful. Yeah. Most families have experienced something along these lines. Nobody knows the truth. I'm not a fan of Harry and Meghan, but I do think this crosses a line. Even if the Mail on Sunday, I think this one crosses a line, although...
Okay. Now, let's talk about what we just heard, because this situation, it is messy, manipulative, and absolutely shameless on the part of the UK tabloids, specifically the Daily Mail. So yes, today the Daily Mail decided to run a full front-page cover featuring Thomas Markle lying in a hospital bed, with the headline in gigantic, dramatic, emotionally manipulative capital letters. See me one more time before I die. I mean, really? Really? They couldn't even pretend for 5 minutes that they're not exploiting this man to weaponize him against his daughter? Because let's call this what it is, emotional blackmail printed and laminated for mass distribution. And honestly, the wildest part isn't even the Daily Mail behaving like the Daily Mail. It's the fact that even GB News, the channel that literally never misses an opportunity to poke or shade Meghan Sussex, actually stopped and said, "Hold up, this isn't right." You know, things have gone off the rails when even the usual critics are like, this crossed a line. And they're right. It did. So let's walk through this entire situation. Let me just say it bluntly. Thomas Markle never learns. He never learns. This is a man who will look straight at a burning stove, say, "Surely this time it won't hurt," then put his hand on it anyway. Talking to the Daily Mail, or any UK tabloid at this point, is the worst possible choice he could make. They're not on his side. They're not trying to help him. They're not trying to bring him closer to Meghan. They're not trying to generate sympathy for him. They don't care about Thomas. They don't care about his health. They care about one thing only, using him as a weapon to attack his daughter because Meghan's name brings them clicks, money, and attention. They have done it for years. And today was just another episode of their obsession. Now, GB News, and I'm still surprised I'm saying this, actually gave one of the most reasonable, humane takes I've heard in this entire saga. The segment started with Lewis Oakley, and honestly, he sounded like the only adult in the room. He essentially said, 1. This is none of the public's business. 2. It's a private family matter. 3. Thomas is the one running to the press. 4. Anyone would be furious if their parent went to tabloids instead of going to them directly. 5. And most importantly, we don't know what's going on between them. Finally, someone in the UK media saying what we've all been screaming for years. Lewis even pointed out something that the tabloids will never admit. A lot of people don't speak to certain family members. That doesn't make them bad people, and it doesn't give the media authority to pressure or guilt trip them. He said what Meghan's supporters have always known. Whatever has happened between Meghan and her father is deep, private, painful, and absolutely none of the public's concern. And Thomas choosing to air it out to the press again only proves why those boundaries exist in the first place. Then Hannah jumped in, and even though she openly said she's not a fan of Harry and Meghan, she still called the Daily Mail out. And for someone who doesn't like them, she was extremely fair. She said the front page felt intrusive because it was intrusive. She mentioned something very telling. The Mail on Sunday had to actually include a note on the front page saying, "Thomas Markle asked us to publish this photo." You know why they put that there? Because even they know it looks exploitative. Even they realize that without that sentence, the public would assume they snapped a private hospital photo without permission. The fact that they needed to add a disclaimer tells you everything about the ethics of this situation, or should I say, the lack thereof. Hannah even went further and pointed out the suspicious timing. Meghan literally just launched her new Netflix holiday special with Love Meghan, a heartwarming, family-focused special that's been receiving love and attention. And suddenly, magically, conveniently, here comes Thomas on the front pages, dragging her into emotional turmoil at the exact moment she's having a positive career moment. This pattern is not new. It happens every single time Meghan Sussex succeeds. Every single time. Whenever she has a milestone, the tabloids dig up something or someone to try to pull the spotlight away or tarnish her moment. They did it during her pregnancy. They did it after her wedding. They did it during the Netflix docuseries. They did it when she launched her podcast. They did it when she debuted her lifestyle brand. And now, they're doing it again with the Christmas special. The timing isn't coincidental. It never is. This is how tabloids operate. They manipulate narratives. They exploit vulnerable people. And they push emotional pressure onto Meghan in hopes of stirring controversy. The goal has always been to get a reaction from her, because reactions generate headlines. Headlines generate revenue. But Meghan has consistently refused to play their game. Now let's talk about Thomas himself, because this part is important. According to reports, Meghan reached out to him yesterday. That is already huge. Considering everything he has done to her, the betrayal, the interviews, the staged paparazzi photos, the campaigns against her, it is incredibly gracious that she reached out at all. But instead of appreciating that gesture, instead of keeping things private, instead of honoring the dignity of what could have been a healing moment, he turned around and handed the Daily Mail a hospital bed photo. Why? To create pressure, to create guilt, to generate public sympathy at his daughter's expense, to position himself as the victim, to let tabloids weaponize his vulnerability the same way they've done for years. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, and it shows why Meghan has every right to protect her boundaries. People love to pretend that Meghan is this cold, heartless woman who just cut her father out for no reason. But in reality, she's dealing with someone who repeatedly chooses tabloids over private conversation. Someone who consistently allows himself to be a tool in the media's attacks on her. Someone who has chosen attention over relationship again and again. And boundaries exist for a reason. Even GB News acknowledged that today. And if GB News is saying it, you know the truth is overwhelming. Let's also address the bigger societal point Lewis made, because it was incredibly important. A lot of people are estranged from family members. A lot. And those situations are not always black and white. They are often filled with pain, betrayal, manipulation, abuse, toxicity, disappointment, you name it. People don't owe access to everyone just because they share DNA. Sometimes walking away is the healthiest choice. Sometimes no contact is the safest path. Sometimes distance is necessary. And people like Meghan get pressured, judged, and picked apart because they're public figures. But the reality is, millions of people make the same choice for their own mental health. Nobody gets to police that. Not tabloids, not strangers, not critics, not even commentators. And defining someone's morality based on whether or not they speak to a family member? That's outdated, that's unrealistic, and that's unfair. Now let's zoom out and look at the hypocrisy of the Daily Mail's actions today. This is the same paper that ridiculed Meghan, criticized her, harassed her, printed lies, spread negativity, encouraged public hate, contributed to her mental health collapse, mocked her pregnancies, attacked her charity work, bullied her for years, and used Thomas repeatedly as a damaging tool. Suddenly they care about Thomas? Suddenly they care about his pain? Suddenly they want to help him mend his relationship with his daughter? Please. They care about one thing: profit. Meghan's name is their golden ticket, and they will use anything, including a sick, vulnerable man, to sell papers. They framed the headline in the most manipulative way possible. They printed a vulnerable photo. They timed it perfectly to overshadow Meghan's new show. They even added dramatic phrases like, "before I die," knowing the emotional punch it would have. But the minute Meghan's name is no longer profitable for them, they'll drop Thomas like a hot stone. So here's the bottom line. What the Daily Mail did today was exploitative, unethical, and calculated. Thomas Markle, knowingly or unknowingly, played right into their hands yet again. And the only people behaving with clarity and common sense in this situation were, unbelievably, GB News. Because they reminded the world that private family matters should stay private. Running to tabloids is not the way to fix anything. Meghan has every right to keep boundaries, and no one knows the full story behind closed doors. And that's the truth.
Hello everyone, I bet that is the best video you have ever watched on this topic. Thank you for liking this video, commenting down below, and sharing it as well. To all our subscribers, we say a big thank you for your continued support. I will see you in the next one. My name is Given.